of the City of Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board. It's April 2nd, and present at today's meeting are. Why don't we start with the same?
You know what? I'll say who's here. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because I can see that. I can see the list. We have Don Radke, Chair, Cynthia Carrington Carter, Dan Leary, Jeff Romano, Julia Marshall, Lisa Tonzi, Bob Haley, and Tom Cantwell.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and myself.
I would like a motion to accept the minutes from the February 5th meeting.
I have one question regarding the minutes.
Let's get a first and a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, and discussion.
I don't think that I seconded the motion regarding Landmark Theater.
I don't think you did either.
And it was listed that I seconded it because I needed to abstain from that.
You did. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. I may have written down the wrong initials.
Okay.
I'll double check.
Okay, so we'll amend that.
Yep.
Any other comments? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting this minutes as submitted and amended?
Aye. Aye.
Any abstentions? Objections? Motion carried. Old business. There is no old business. New business. Certificate of Appropriateness, CA-20-06, 362 South Salina Street. New seating. Jamie, you're on. And can you state your name and address for the record, Jamie?
Sorry, everyone's staring at a big J. The landmark theater.
Jamie, we're having trouble.
Oh, hang on.
Hold on just a second. Could I ask everybody to everyone who, except for Jamie, to turn their mutes on?
Yep.
Okay, Jamie, go for it.
Okay, so I also came off speaker, so hopefully that'll help. So the Landmark Theater is proposing to replace the original auditorium seating with a replicated seating design that includes the restoration of the original historic decorative aisle side stanchions. So those are all intended to be reused, as well as the original wood armrests. The remainder of the system is new to match as closely as possible the original, and that includes the non-decorative seat stanchions that are internal to the aisles, and the replacement of the seat backs and bottoms. We are matching the original stained wood seat backs. We're matching the original fabric, although the fabric has changed over the years because the seats are 90 years old, so the seat fabrics are not original to the theater anymore. We are maintaining the original aisle. We're retaining the original seat layout, with the exception that we are widening the seats a little bit, so we're losing one seat per row, I believe. We are losing one row front to back so that we can gain a little bit of additional knee room. There are two primary reasons why we're proposing to replace the seating. One is that they're 90 years old, and occasionally the metalwork breaks, and we're struggling now to keep repairing the existing hardware on the seats. The other is that the seats were designed in 1927 for 1927 Americans, and Americans bear no physical resemblance today to Americans of 1927. We have constant complaints about the size of the seats. So we're gaining a little bit of spacing left to right, and we're gaining a little bit of space front to back. The bulk of that is gained by raising the seats a little bit so that you don't, since Americans are taller now, you don't sit quite so deeply into the seat. And the seats are designed so that when you sit on the seat, your rear end is a little farther back into the seat. So we gain a little knee space there also. In our package, we have indicated a plan layout where we had proposed several different handicapped seating areas. That is to meet code also. In the process of replacing these seating, the seating, we intend to accommodate current code requirements for handicapped seating. That's important to us because our primary demographic is the Famous Artist series, and these are older people. So we have more wheelchairs coming in all the time. So we have a small area to front house left and front house right, where we are removing the seating, and those will be designated for wheelchairs. Is everyone able to look at the proposed floor plan?
That's
And the proposed seating plan.
Yeah.
And that's the seating plan that Irwin Seating gave us.
Yeah, I have up on the screen, I believe, what is the proposed seating plan. Can people see that?
Okay. You will see that at the base of the auditorium, or base of the orchestra, rear orchestra, there on the left of center is our sound booth, which is basically a sound area with railings. And now that was approved and constructed when we did the stage house expansion. And to the right of that, you'll see in red an area that is designated for handicapped seating, just right of center aisle. We have actually relocated that to house left so that it will align with the green soundboard area. And we will be able to get into that seating area directly from behind, so we eliminate the need for a ramp. So from a preservation standpoint, it's much less of a footprint change to what was originally the original seating, because that whole area just right of center aisle will now remain as it used to be.
Okay.
And I can follow up with this. This happened recently, Kate, so I can follow up with a revised seating plan so that you can have that. What we're also doing in the process of preparing our permit set is that we are laying this seating plan into the original auditorium layout. So very soon we'll have an orchestra plan and a balcony plan that lays this seating into the original footprint of the original floor plans of the building. So it's much easier to see. You'll be able to look at the original floor plans and then the proposed floor plans. And we're working on those right now, so we will forward those as well.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, are there any questions? And ultimately, we're looking for a motion to accept and a second and then discussion. But any initial questions?
Yeah, this is Bob. I have a couple of questions, Jamie, if I lead off.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. The plan looks great. I'm certainly supporting all of the presentations regarding the actual physical chairs and the concepts you relate to. I have two questions. One is, What about the old ventilation caps that used to be under all the seats? How's that working with your alignment? And secondly, can you get away, is a strange way to use the term. I understand the rationale for handicap seating. Can you, in this day and age, put all the handicaps in the back of the house? I'm sorry, you don't have them all back there. You don't have them all there. I see now they're up front as well, right?
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
That answers that one.
Obviously we can't put handicap seating in the balcony because the balcony is not accessible, and it doesn't have to be because the performance is the same that you're seeing from the orchestra as from the balcony. But it was our intention to spread the handicap seating around the auditorium so that the handicapped wheelchair bound people could have access to different price points and different locations within the theater.
No, that's good. And I must say, I missed the right on the front of the house. I simply missed it when I formed the question. So thank you for doing that. How about the old ventilation caps? Are they still there, or is that gone? Or
the old ventilation caps are still there. There are some areas within the theater in the front of the orchestra where they've been replaced with flat grills, which are actually preferable because just so for those who don't understand, underneath the orchestra and actually underneath the balcony are large HVAC plenum spaces. And depending on whether you're cooling or heating, you're either supplying through the ventilation caps. You supply your heat through the ventilation caps in the winter because heat rises, or you're drawing air through that's summer air conditioned air that is delivered from the ceilings, and you're pulling it in through this plenum and then back into the system. And these ventilation caps sit raised above the floor. And the original mushroom ventilator caps are susceptible to everything that could possibly be dropped on the floor, including popcorn, get knocked into this plenum space. So the flush grills are much better. And in historic theaters, they're often replaced these days. Our intention is to retain the mushroom caps in all the areas where the new alignment does not impinge on their locations.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I know Bob has more.
We can have further discussion.
Lisa has.
I have a couple of things.
Lisa has a couple of questions. Yeah.
Hi, Jamie. I'm looking at the photos that you provided of the existing chairs and stanchions, and then looking at the Irwin Seating Company data submittal. I'm a little confused about the color scheme.
So the proposed aisle stanchion photo, which I assume is what you're looking at.
Is it the one with the blue example?
Which is, it's a close-up photograph of the decorative stanchion that shows the gold, the green, and what is not deep red. It's more like a purple.
Right.
And that was a preliminary submission by Irwin to give us an idea of the quality that we are going to get. We actually rejected the purple in that, and we've worked through them to get the deep red color, which is actually the same question I got from Shippo yesterday. So while we unfortunately can't have them remake a stanchion with the new colors because they're locked down at the moment also, we do have a color chip for that color.
Now, are the back and seat going to be the same color? Because according to the diagram, the backs are going to be red and the cushions are going to be, or seats will be wine. Or is that just a typo?
The seat backs are natural stained wood, as the originals were.
It says fabric red for the back and then fabric wine for the seats.
That's just because the seats are not, like a leatherette. So if you look at the proposed orchestra chair photo,
Right.
you'll see the relationship of the seat back to the seat front and how the colors align.
Okay, all right. I have one
Okay.
other question. I'm not sure if this is your jurisdiction regarding the outdoor illumination of the new marquee.
We'll
Oh, yeah.
take that after we finish this.
I'm sorry?
We'll take that after we finish. This is for seating, so let's take that first,
Okay.
and then we'll go
Okay,
back.
gotcha. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion
I'll make a motion to accept the seating
to
chart.
approve. Do I have a
Yes.
second? Okay. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Jeff, you seconded it? Thanks, Jeff. Okay.
Any further discussion?
I'm just
All
having,
in favor? Yes?
Question? There was a question.
it was just it's an aesthetic question. Jamie, are they planning on replacing the carpet and painting the floors, or are they going to remain the same? That's just a question.
During the process of removing all the seating, the concrete is going to be restored and it's going to be repainted same color to match what's there now, which is a deep red. The carpeting is going to be replaced. We probably won't do it during this project just for financial reasons, but obviously we intend to follow up in the next year or two,
Okay,
and
great.
we're working with Spazzato on that.
Thanks for the clarification.
Okay, great. We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain?
I
Motion
abstain.
Okay.
Yes.
Kate, you got that?
I got that you abstained. Yep.
Okay, great. Now, Jamie, since we have you here, Lisa had some questions on what we talked about last time and the lighting on the new marquee. Lisa?
Bob there? Bob.
Me?
Is Bob there?
Yes?
Bob, were you the one that brought up the question of the illumination of the new marquee at last meeting?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, you're talking about the level of illumination of the new electronic boards. That was a good point.
Yeah.
This is not unique to your project, Jamie, as you know. All of the electronic video boards that we now see are happy to show themselves at full tilt and blow out the buildings behind them. It's a problem with the lighting standards for the city of Syracuse, for not just city of Syracuse. It's a problem for lighting standards relative the classic old billboard lighting illumination limits that need to be done for readability, and one of the way, of course, advertising wins is to get the bigger, bolder signs, so everybody wants the most light possible. Jamie, is there any discussion because of with SHPO or anybody else, or certainly from our point of view, to have moderation of illumination? I know last time you explained that you can set the level.
And we had the same conversation with SHPO,
Okay.
which has approved the project as well. But the digital display boards are dimmable. So our intention is that the two digital display boards at the north and south, one will be generally fixed in what they're showing.
Mhm.
In other words, they will display a particular image, and that will not modulate. You know, it may change from day to day, but it's not going to change
It
like
won't be
tracer lighting.
flashing or running like a running script. It won't be a running
Right.
script.
It won't be running. And two, that yes, they are dimmable, and our intention is once we have mastered the electronics of the sign, is to bring them down to a point where it is appropriate and not overwhelming.
Okay.
That would be great. And I think that's our recommendation relative to this new technology in this context. And we would leave it, obviously, to the management to judge that and use it to the best discretion of both their need to advertise and the impact on the historic context.
Yeah, and
Okay,
we're in
that's
agreement
great.
with that. We also want, once we're up and running and we have our tracer lighting working also, which is the underside, the ceiling under the marquee, the tracer lighting that is around the display boards, and the tracer lighting around the surmounting lettered signs, also dimmable. That one,
Right.
we'll get all that coordinated so that they all work together, and then we'll set a level that we feel is appropriate.
That's wonderful. Tell me one more thing here, and that is the ceiling, the lighting under the curved ceiling. Is that also dimmable?
Yeah.
That's,
That's great.
Yes, it
because
is.
you can
Yeah.
set the whole mood for an event with low level or high level lighting or anything you wish. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Jamie, thank you very much. Moving
You're
on.
welcome.
We have
Bye, everybody.
zoning referrals.
Bye.
First is the project site review, PR-20-09, 437 North Salina Street. And again, for the board edification, our jurisdiction here is to comment. Who is here representing that applicant?
Hi, this is Dan Query. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Dan.
morning, Dan. How are you?
How's everyone today?
Good.
Good. Dan,
Welcome.
can you
Your
give your name and
technology-
address for the record and then tell us what's going on?
I'm sorry, do what for the record again? I'm sorry.
Give us your name and address for the record and then tell us what's going on.
Dan Query, 437 North Salina Street. I acquired this building back in late 2019. We've had a couple pre-development meetings. In the pre-development meeting, we agreed that in order to get to understanding the facade, that the city granted me a demolition and abatement permit, which allowed me to go inside and remove all the abatement and do the interior demolition. That's all completed now, as well as remove the metal facade from, I think, sometime in the 60s. The building dates back to on or about 1892. A series of uses. A long time in its early years were a tailor use. And then more into its latter years, there was a photographer who occupied the first. It's a 3-story building, has a series of additions to it, but it's a 3-story building. And, in its last use was primarily a photographer who used the first 2 floors for office. 3rd floor hasn't seen anything in a long, long time. There was remnants of what looked like some kind of apartment, but it was, it hadn't been used in quite some time. And, so we were able to remove the facade, and, the picture's up there now of what lied behind the facade. Unfortunately, I think when they put the facade up back in the 60s or 70s, they took off all of the cornice work up on top. They greatly altered any of the windows on the 2nd floor and anything that was on the 1st floor as well. If you see where we have the barricade, that is a old aluminum storefront that currently exists that would be consistent with what you see, what would be the north on the 1st and 2nd floor, windows there. What we are doing is the 1st floor is going to be a local janitorial company, and floors 2 and 3 are going to be apartments. 2 total. Both apartments are going to be 2 levels. So there'll be an interior stair that connects, obviously the second floor living space to the third floor bedroom. And it does have a garage on it. And so, that's the north. And that's obviously our set of plans.
And Dan, just let me know if you want me to scroll down.
No, you're doing a great job, Kate. I think this technology is outstanding. So you're doing fine. Thank you for flipping through for me there a little bit. But everyone got to see what it looks like currently, what it looked like when I acquired it, and what we're proposing, which is this cover sheet to the permit set that we have submitted in for both permit and project site review. The plan is to paint what brick is to stay exposed, and to do a small ethos band on the top, and that would be to cover up, unfortunately, where they smashed off all of the cornice work, and then do an ethos band that separates the top of the first floor and the bottom of the second floor, which I think is very similar to what a lot of folks have done. You can see both to the left and the right, the people to the north put in some kind of awning type roof, shingled structure, and then more common what you see to the left, which was just currently done with love, is that essentially a plywood type of facade work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours is a little bit different in the sense that our entry, which is not obviously the big glass panel, but to the south of that is recessed. So if you look at what a lot of folks have done with, say lighting, they've had to do lighting, ornamental and extend it out over the sidewalk, like what they did with the look next door. With us having to recess, we'd be able to put recessed lighting, at our entry and not have to, push out over into the sidewalk. Just for bring some consistency, and maybe that's the wrong word, but just the ephes that we've proposed and the glazing that we've proposed and the storefront material that we've proposed are the same materials that we used on Amos expansion, but obviously in a much, much greater scale.
Yeah, I thought I recognized the type of ephes.
Yeah. We like the ephes. Our architect likes the ephes. We're working with Wayne LaFrance, Lake Architectural. Wayne's done a lot of work in the city. I think you guys are all familiar with Wayne in some capacity. We don't want, we prefer not to. It's up to you guys a little bit in your comments, but we prefer not to just paint over the cornice work that was removed. I think it'll show a lot of different inconsistencies. If you look at the existing condition now, two of the four, there you go. You can see two of the four limestone sills were smashed off, and then two of them are still in place. So the two to the south have been smashed off, two in place. So we would plan to use an aluminum and wrap that and create, essentially two sills on the windows where they've been, smashed off.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of inconsistencies, and we're hoping, and we thought that what we've proposed would, create consistencies.
Dan, this is Bob. Just a quick question. The north two-story window, that's the existing, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so you're trying to keep that.
No, we're replaced. Everything's being replaced, Bob. Everything's being replaced. You can see if you look at what we're proposing there. We got to replace the north second floor because we need to put I'm going to call them the hopper windows to be able to create ventilation. Because those are the two windows that are in the front apartment.
Right.
So, what you have now obviously would be two fixed panes. We're removing those so we can put the hoppers in so we can get good air circulation.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Julia, did you want me to?
Yeah, can you enlarge the elevation of the proposed? Because I can't see what's under that ethos band. Is that a signage band over the entry?
Should I go down to the drawing? Would that be helpful for
that would
people?
be great,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Let me find the.
I think
Here it is. Okay, let me see what I can do to that a little bit.
Enlarge that so we can take a look at that.
Try the last page, Kate, the last page.
I think this is it, right?
Yeah, the elevation.
I made it too big. Hold on.
Julia, to answer your question, the architect just showed below the ethos band, signage, if that's what the tenant wants to do. The ethos band is not intended to support the signage. The ethos band is clearly to cover that exposed beam, and I'm certain when we take off the rest of the glass to the north, you're going to have a consistent line across that separates the top of the first floor from the bottom of the second floor. No different than what you see next door with Love did.
So if I understand you, for this application, you're not proposing any signage. You're proposing just the elevation as is.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And another question, you're recessing the entrance. How far back are you recessing? Because it appears that the original was recessed.
Correct. It's about 5 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 5 feet. So if you envision walking into the recess, if you go straight ahead, you're going to enter into the commercial space. And if you turn to the north, there'll be a door there that is an isolated lobby area to go up the stairs to go to the apartment.
Basically where the stairs are now.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it for you.
You got it there. Go back.
Go back.
So your recess is
There, yeah. If you look at the first floor, you can see the recess and how that works with entry into the commercial space, and then how it works with entry into the lobby for the apartment.
Is that equivalent to what the recess was before?
It is. It's the same.
Perfect. Thanks.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I, as usual, have some more. This is Bob. Thank you. Dan, thanks for this presentation. You certainly are trying to salvage one of the most damaged buildings historically we've ever seen from its origin.
This is the inside.
Yeah, thank you. I have a
Imagine.
comment. I can see fully that the verticality of the north two-story window is significant to maintain transparency, and those are the right widths. The biggest thing I think that could help this project really be even more concise, maybe to its past here, would be if the left-hand window or the south window on the second floor continued down to be the width of the entry, so that both the north and the south two-story elements reflected the bays of the original planning. Now, having said that, what that would mean to your project would be to narrow the entrance to align with the opening of the second floor window, which would be brick infill and then painted. That, I think, would help this facade be more appropriate to its original building. Is that possible in your mind at all, do you think?
I'm pausing because I'm flipping through a couple notes right here. Hold on one second, Bob.
Sure.
See, I was hoping I could find so Bob, you're thinking about the original photo that I sent out that had the, okay. I can, would it be helpful if I found that, or?
Yeah, Dan's got it.
There you go.
You see this?
Dan Leary was holding it up too in his window.
All right.
Yeah.
You can see in, in its original, they were more of a bay, right?
Right.
I think what would be more feasible, Bob, is what you're saying is that I don't mind reducing the south. I'm thinking out loud to your
Yeah, I
question.
appreciate
So you're
that.
saying, you got this symmetry in the first and second floor to the north, and in some way, can you create that same symmetry to the south?
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a simple comment that I think would bring this back to the Victorian kind of formatting, even though the whole first floor was a storefront in that the two second floor bays were so prominent, and that then led to the north two-story window that was so kind of negative. But if the entrance could be narrowed, and I'm just asking you to consider this, to that same width, I think the building would be stronger as a Victorian recovery than keeping the wide open entrance that you have. So it's a comment to you for consideration. I think it could be pulled off, but it's
We
your
can include
yours
that in
to
our
respond
comment.
to. Yeah, we can
Is
put
there
that.
any other comment? Are there any other comments?
I would agree with what Bob said, and I have a question on the front elevation where it says repair brick lintels as required. The drawing indication is the same as we have EFS down above the first floor windows. Is that just an indication, or are you covering the brick with EFS?
The second and third floor lintels, Dan?
Yes.
You're Dan speaking, right?
Yes. Yeah, second and third floor, it says repair brick facade is required, and underneath that, repair brick lintel as required. Where the lintels are indicated, it's the same drawing indication as on the first floor where it says EFS molding band.
The intent is to repair and not to add these. So I got to ask Wayne about that. I understand what you're saying. I'm seeing the elevation shows. No, he has just EFS molding, and then the lintels. We're repairing the lintels on both the second and the third floor windows.
Okay.
We're not doing EFS over those windows.
Okay, so it's just a drawing
Okay.
indication that's similar.
Yeah, we're just doing the EFS band at the top to the extent of the cornice, where the cornice is removed. Then the EFS band above the first floor storefront to cover that, and that's the extent of the EFS.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, good. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm just looking at the sizes of the windows on the second floor and then the size of the openings indicated on the first floor.
Yeah, there's a 4-inch difference. I saw it too.
Yeah, there's a 4-inch difference, and at first, when you moved out, when the picture was smaller, I was just saying, is that aligned or not aligned? And probably it is not aligned, and it should be. You've got
I just saw that myself, and the existing.
810. Let me finish. You have 810 for the opening on the first floor. You have 86 up above, and the left jamb doesn't align with the bottom. It looks like it's off.
I see what you're saying. I will make sure that's a good catch, Julie. I'll make sure, kind of to Bob's earlier point, that they're the same width.
Okay.
And I can't tell you right now without going out and measuring myself one more time whether the 8.6 or it's the 8.10, but it will be, whatever it is, it'll be consistent.
Thanks, that makes sense.
All right, great.
I see exactly
Any
what
other
you want to
comments?
accomplish, Bob, and that's a cool comment. I understand what you're saying.
Any other comments?
Yes, I have a comment. The windows on the second floor, I know that they're in the same opening, but wouldn't it be more historically appropriate if they were two double hung side by side?
Probably.
Cynthia, are you saying the second floor?
Yes, the second floor. Obviously, they were bay windows and they were 3, but the opening is only big enough for 2. And right now, these huge windows, I'm glad they're using the same space, but it seems that double hung is more appropriate for the time period that the building was built.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think this is a catch-22 between the large modern sheets of glass and what fenestration could bring them a little more character to the original building without being, faking it.
What if I
Dan, what's
ran,
your response to that?
I like the hoppers. What if I ran a vertical mullion
Yeah,
as a separation from the hoppers?
that would help.
It'll give the appearance of a double hung, but the hoppers still function as a hopper down below.
I
I
guess,
think that would help.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
I guess I'm
It
torn
actually
here.
makes my glass smaller. It makes it easier to handle. There's actually some efficiencies if I build that way, and then the glass, those glass panels are 2 pieces and not one big pane, and makes it lighter. It helps.
I see the efficiency for the size of the glass is definitely good, but one thing I guess I'm thinking about is that facade, the modern 60s facade is also 60 years old. So going back even further, I think, a salute to the 60s to a certain degree has some merit in terms of the modern interpretation that you're going with now. I know that, that's kind of a funny remark, but I don't have a problem with the large glass, but for efficiency, putting in a vertical mullion makes sense in terms of the size of the glass.
That's a fair point, and we debated that and trying to figure out what would be, most aesthetically pleasing to your group, what I think would be good for the building. Carrying over, obviously, the idea of what you just mentioned about what the 60s. We even contemplated a smaller hopper, and on the 3rd floor, those to be all single pane crank out as opposed to a double hung. We made that change to a double hung to kind of more reflect, a little bit more of the Victorian history of it and not the 60s contemporary feel of it. Because I was thinking at one point just do all single pane glass and it'd be a very clean contemporary look. And then, we went back and we looked more at not what they did to it in the 60s, but what they did to it in 1892 and said, no, let's double hung, let's do double hung and let's get back to a little more of the Victorian and not the 60s contemporary.
Yeah, the double hung on the 3rd floor certainly seems very appropriate.
Don't disagree.
Was there any thought of putting back the bay style window on the 2nd floor?
There really wasn't, to be honest with you. There really wasn't. Doing this on a few other buildings in the past, I just feel like my own opinion, trying to recreate that is going to look like you tried to recreate that. And, I think to keep it clean and simple, accomplish what we want to do with the Victorian look on the 3rd floor. I think this idea of a vertical mullion to split the 2 just gives it the best clean look.
I support the
Bob,
idea.
have you gotten all these comments?
Yes.
I support the idea of the center mullion, but I have a question. Will the center mullion be in the center of the opening? There appears to have 2 different sized hoppers on the southerly opening.
Yeah.
Everything will be consistent, Dan.
Yeah,
Consistent meaning centered?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess I didn't answer. Yes, they'll be centered with a center mullion that evenly divides the glass.
That's actually a good catch on your part, Dan. At the left side, the hoppers are different size, and I would prefer, I understand why it went that way in terms of alignment with the door below, but I think it would be a stronger statement if it was centered.
They're not even in the same plane as the door
Well,
below.
that's the point. They're 5 feet back. And again, that goes back to my original suggestion that if they, with the width of the window above the entry, possibly could be that, then you have real continuity of mullions and the primary bays. that might be a simple solution, a balance between the modern and the historic.
I agree with you, Bob.
No, all sounds good. And I want to follow through on what Bob said in terms of what we're doing with, or what you're doing with this building that has been so
Fantastic.
upset that I think we're coming down to the good point. So Kate, if you have all those comments and nobody else does, we'll let Dan go, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. This is very efficient, Kate. There was no muddling at all. We got through this very easily.
I've been up for hours practicing,
Yeah,
Dan. No.
I want to say one thing to Kate. This is something that we've been trying to do for years in planning meetings, is put drawings up that everybody can see graphically in the Common Council chamber, and have not yet been able to do it.
It takes a coronavirus, right?
You did it, Kate.
Honestly, with no disrespect to any of you that I wouldn't want to see you in person and would prefer to if things were different, this is really efficient. This is great. Looking at the same thing and talking about the same thing without, everyone moving around and digging through papers. It's great.
There's a
Thank
new
you.
normal coming, folks. There's a brand new normal.
No, it's true.
Thank you guys. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Take care.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Moving on to special permit, SP06, 18M1, 700 North Salina Street. Who's here representing that application?
Actually, there's no, because this is primarily for us a signage issue.
Okay.
It's just us. So
Okay.
Kate,
Okay, who
there
wants
is
to
Andrea.
comment?
Andrea is here though too. Yeah.
Andrea,
Yeah,
we'll
Andrea,
take
can
your
you speak
comment
to this
first.
project or?
not in a great level of detail as far as the signage is concerned. I mainly just wanted to let the board know that Nita has been working with Ed on the project for about a year. And he has been working with an architect and trying to do all the right things. I'm sure he'd welcome any comments you might have regarding the signage. She seems to be really responsive to trying to do the right thing. Kate, I did write a letter of support that I emailed you at like 7:30 this morning, so you have my comments on record. I'm happy to read it if you want. For the record, I'm Andrea Wandersee, Executive Director of NITA. NITA's at 101 Gertrude Street in Syracuse, 13203.
Thank you and welcome.
The first comment I'd make, Kate, can you review for us what the sign ordinance allows in this application and what exists and what the differences are?
Yeah, so this is actually a special permit, and Andrea may be able to fill in a little bit more what's going on, but the for special permit specifically, you are allowed one wall sign and one oh shoot, there's another sign. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. I know one wall sign, and I want to say one board sign or something. I think that what we need to do in this case is just look at the signage that is actually already up. You can see it's up there. And also, if you look in the staff report, I provided some additional photographs, I believe, and just determine what you feel is appropriate. So at the moment, what we've got is there are more signs than are allowed, but and that's why you have to go through this process. But frequently the board has recommended approval in situations where there are more signs than are allowed, as long as they're in appropriate locations and appropriately scaled. So so here we have there's a large banner sign that is attached actually on the second floor, which actually may be an issue, come to think of it, with zoning, because it is up on the second floor balcony area, that exclusives. I don't know. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Circling. Okay, there we go. And then there's an additional, so not, signs, actually, I'd have to zoom in to understand what these, So these would count as signs as well, which is on the banner here, or sorry, on the awning.
That's an awning, yeah.
There is an awning at the corner. It's a corner building. So there's this sign here. And then there's another awning it's like the entrance awning over here. And then there's one that indicates where there's parking. And I don't know if I go down any further, I think that's it. Yeah. So you can see with the parking sign, it's also the hours of operation. And then they just have the logos over their entrances here.
Okay, can I ask a question here?
Yes.
Let me go right through from sign 1, which is the balcony. Is that in place now?
Yes, all of these signs are in place.
All of them are in place. Okay. Yes. Okay. Including the sign for parking. Okay. So they would like a variance
They're all
to keep,
existing.
and they would like to keep all of these in place is the request.
Well, I think and Andrew, you may be able to help with this, that I believe what precipitated this particular application was that they're doing some interior changes. I believe there's a new stage and that kind of thing. So that's
They're gonna have live
triggered
music.
this.
Right.
It's what triggered it, but in triggering that, there is this review of the signage as well on the outside.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So all of the signage is currently as seen here.
But the one that we're talking about, the first one, is actually a banner. It's not a painted and in
That's correct.
place sign. It's a
That's correct.
hanging
Yeah.
banner.
It's
Can you zoom in on that photograph so we could see it a little bit better?
sure. I think the resolution, I'm not sure how good the resolution is, but
That's okay. It's just, I was trying to figure out, and Cynthia answered whether that was actually a hard sign or a banner and what it was on.
well,
When you
I think
say
it's
banner, are you saying a material or are you saying
Material.
wood or?
well, actually, looking at it, I don't.
They're both like the temporary vinyl signs, both that one and the one over the awning at the front door on the corner.
Okay,
But what is the black area outside of the sign behind it? Is that the base of the balcony?
That's the base of the.
Balcony wall or
Well, actually, no. I
railing?
think the balcony, I think, is wrapped. Is that?
Yes.
Can you go up to the elevation, not to the specific sign, because it might be easier to figure out what that is?
Here. The elevation. That's.
One. Yeah. So there.
It's a balcony that, actually, if you go, I don't know if you can see the staff report. Let me see. Oh, yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can get to the staff report, because if I can do that, then I show you. Do I have it here? Staff report. Here we go.
I have the staff report up on my other screen, and it certainly looks like the balcony has been wrapped.
Yeah.
That's just basically to give them privacy. That's a good picture. If you could go in close on that
So
one.
you can see that it has some type of black,
Fabric.
it looks like fabric of some
Yeah.
sort.
So it gives them privacy when they sit there, I'm assuming, because of the floor level.
Presumably.
It's just to make a background for the sign.
Could be. I just don't know.
well,
I think that may, oh, sorry, go ahead, Down.
no, I was just gonna say, let's talk about the sign itself, the appropriateness of that particular sign, both in its application, or its location rather, and how it is covering a balcony, as well as in quantity.
Yeah, I agree, Don. If I could jump in really quickly and try and jump right back out. That's a good image right there, Kim. That one you have right there in the corner. There you go. That's the best. Let's just talk about that for a quick second. Let me get my screen bigger. First of all, this building has too much signage and too many gewgaws all over it to be a great historic building. I'd like to suggest that, first of all, we use the ordinance as our guide, try and stick to the signage ordinance literally, which is our guide, which helps all of our historic buildings not be covered up by signage. In this case, I've looked at this and given it a very simple thing. The number one thing that would help this building in terms of significance would be to take off the black awnings that are signs because they have the address on it. to leave the front entrance with the curved signage over the front door. When I say take off the awnings, just picture in your own mind how it would look if the Salina Street facade and the side street facade, you could see 2 stories of brick and windows that are the original pattern of the era without horizontal cuts through them. Then I would look at the consideration of signs that they have on the balcony, and over the entrances, the 2 entrances can have their arched awnings as they would have been done originally, and they enhance the entrances. So I would kind of start from the premise of using the ordinance and reversing the damage that signage has done to this building in this new review.
So Don, I'm sorry, Bob, are you saying actually remove the fabric awnings entirely?
Yes.
I don't know if that's on the table.
Well, that's why I'm putting it on the table.
I understand. But,
Yeah, no,
I mean,
don't think-
but they
I
are
understand
allowed
where
to
Kate's
have
going.
awnings, you know, so.
I mean,
Bob,
is
they're
that
allowed
really
to
in our
have awnings.
preview? Is that really in our preview to comment that on the awnings, other than the signage on the awnings?
I think that it could be included as a suggestion to the owners, to clean up the facade.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, this is to benefit the owner's building. So yes, we can comment as we wish.
Yeah, we can comment as we wish, yet at the same time, I think I'm going the same direction Kate is. Removing awnings, maybe it's not the best way to say it, but if we want to talk about what's on the awnings, I think that's more within our jurisdiction. Maybe that's the best way to put it. And I understand what you're saying, Bob, but I think another perspective was that I agree. There's too much here. And if we start with that first sign we were talking about in the balcony, to me, that's the most inappropriate sign.
I would agree with you.
And
Yeah, and it's also, it's on a second floor, which is not,
It should be down on the
I don't
sidewalk.
think would, right. And personally, I would suggest that sign be totally removed.
I agree.
And wrapping
agree.
that balcony,
I
and
don't
wrapping
agree.
that balcony is an inappropriate thing to do.
I don't agree.
Now,
Yeah.
just let me finish.
Yep.
So if in fact we took off that sign completely and re-exposed the entire balcony, now we're left with the awning band all the way around the building. I do think if you look at the awning on the side street, I understand where you're coming from, Bob, and I agree. I think there's too much awning. It's, along the whole facade. And whether something's on the table or not, you're right, we can comment. But if we're trying to use the ordinance as a guide, there's too much. Now, the issue that I think the owner would make, and with some validity, there's no signage on most of the awning on that elevation. It's just an awning.
Mhm.
So I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think we should start with the big sign on the balcony, and our comment would be to remove that entirely and expose the balcony, and then any other comment going from there.
I think we should take a look at that signage, the parking signage.
I would agree, absolutely, that one on Salina Street as well as the parking signage are both
Should
inappropriate.
go. That's overkill. It does not look, it doesn't look good at all. So.
I would agree with that.
Yes, me
So
too.
saying at
May
this
I ask
point
the
that our
question?
comment is going to be basically to remove those 2 signs.
Can I
Does the
ask a
sign
question?
ordinance support those comments to tell them to please remove those 2 signs?
yeah. But,
Yeah.
sorry, there's someone who wants to ask a question. I'm not sure who. Was that Andrew?
I did.
Julia,
Apart from you, Tom.
Tom asked the question.
Tom asked the question. Yeah.
may I
Yes.
comment?
Yeah, and the answer is yes, Tom. Yeah.
I think that is the best improvement that could be made, that those 2 signs go away. In spite of the awnings, I'm not sure why they put up so many, but in my opinion, they don't really look so awful.
The awnings actually, I believe, certainly predate the current occupant. I think those awnings have been there for some time, which doesn't make them any more appropriate. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I appreciate, yeah, I appreciate it.
The awnings have been there for a long time. My question is, if we make the recommendation, which I would agree with Tom and others, that the large sign on North Salina and the parking sign on the side street go, are they within their rights in terms of the signage that is left?
I think they're getting closer.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty close. You got 2 elevations there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're pretty close.
Do they need that? Do they need that second round awning on side street? Does that?
You mean
Good question.
right-hand side one over the
Where
parking?
does that? What is that lead to, and what's the purpose of it?
I can actually answer where it leads to. That's the back entrance that goes into the kitchen is right off to the right-hand side there.
Right.
It doesn't enter right into the kitchen, but it kind of takes you down like the back hallway that connects to the kitchen.
It looks to almost cover some decorative.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So
That's one of the, sorry, that's one of the reasons I made the comment. And obviously I'm sticking my finger in the beehive. These awnings cover up details of the original building, all of the curved heads of the windows on the first floor, all of the entrance to it covers up the building, cuts it. And my recommendation was to benefit the owner's success of this new venture to mark their building as unique and as a new venue for jazz. And I understand all of the realistic and rational concepts that we paid for the awning. It's been there forever, but these are negative impacts on the architectural character. So I don't mind making the suggestions and having a serious conversation with an owner towards their benefit, and then bring in the ordinance and try and solve a problem. So that's all I'm saying.
Would this be acceptable? Would this be acceptable to the board that our comment is to remove the balcony sign and expose the balcony?
Yes.
Remove the parking sign, and that comment would be a strong comment.
Yep.
And then a secondary comment would be to consider reduction and possible even elimination of the awnings.
Over
Just
the
leave it at that.
doorway.
Over the windows.
The doorway, yeah.
Over the windows, not the doorway, correct.
why,
The two arch door awnings are
With that
appropriate.
comment, folks, with that comment, if they were to remove the awnings, and Kate, I'll look to you on here, if they were to remove the parking sign and the balcony sign and the awnings, they'd probably be allowed more signage in some other fashion than just what would be over the front door.
then we could work with that.
I have a question. Is that wall pack lighting above the awnings? And if so, what the hell's it for? And maybe if you took the awnings off, you wouldn't need the lighting. Isn't this where we have historic street lighting?
Yeah. Salina Street, yes.
Yeah, what's the wall
Well,
pack
you know,
lighting doing there?
And
we can add that to a comment, but again, I think we should stick mostly to the signage here.
So Don, why do we have to take the awning on that side? Why does that have to be in a secondary position as far as our recommendations? Can't it be one package?
Well, I think the applicant is talking about signs, and now we're talking about lighting and awnings, of which some of the awnings don't have any signs on them. So I think we should speak strongly to the application and to the request, rather, the special permit request, and then additional comments that would be given to the owner and told that we would be very open to further discussions to enhance the experience of the building.
the total project, yeah. Don, I'd like the idea of offering a sit down with the owner and go through everything their need, trying to meet their need, and see if they're interested in this. In other words, send in the
Andrea, you still
recommendation.
there?
I second that, Bob.
I third it.
Andrea, are you still there?
I am. And the business owner is renting the property. Ateliers is the original owner. And yeah, I think Ed would certainly be willing to sit down and talk, and I think it would benefit to have his architect present, and I'm happy to be part of that conversation as well.
Could we possibly do
Why
it
don't we set
as a
that up,
site
Kate?
visit?
Oh, yeah.
Is the procedure one that we would, and is Ed willing to wait? Is the procedure one that would allow us to just hold this until we have an opportunity to speak with him?
I mean, let's face it, nobody's doing business right now, right? You
Yeah.
can't
I
exactly
think,
night, so.
I think our
Can we
only,
just hold this application?
well, I think the only issue is, you know, and I would love to have a site visit, but I don't think we're able to have site visits at the moment. I mean, I think that people could go out there individually and take a look and see what's underneath those awnings. But I think that we can't, it would have to be a meeting like this. And I would be happy to
Yeah, no,
organize that.
I'm just saying that from a
Yeah.
procedural point of view, on this special permit request, we don't have to make our comments at this meeting. We can adjourn it to the next meeting. And in the meantime, we can all go out there individually, drive by and see what's there.
Okay.
And then with Andrea's assistance, virtually, in all likelihood,
Mm-hmm.
set up probably at our next meeting, a discussion with Ed.
That's a great idea.
Andrea, do you think that that's reasonable? They're not, you know, he's not chomping at the bit, or, I mean, I know this will have to go in front of the planning commission, and that's the, you know, I don't want to delay something else from moving forward. I mean, I would think that they would be able to move forward with the interior work with no issue. It would just be how we
Right.
resolve the exterior.
Reality.
And I think it would be good. I think it would be good for Andrea and Kate to give Ed a heads up of what we're talking about, to let him know that we're very strongly commenting about removal of the two signs and would like to have a further discussion about improving the success of the building and talking about awnings and, you know, the rest of it. I think we should be given a heads up about the two big signs.
I'd like to make a comment about all this. One is my concern. I do agree, Bob, about the awnings, but Don, I agree with the fact that it should be a layered recommendation. First, to get rid of the signs. As much as I agree with the fact that we have too many awnings, this is someone who's leasing the building, not owning the building. And once you get into removal of those awnings, there will be construction work to repair the facade of the building because of how the awnings were attached.
Right.
And it gets
That's a
into a
good
much
point.
larger project. The last
That's a
comment
good
I'll
point.
make.
I think you're right. I think we should just make the comment, if the board so agrees, about the two signs and make a request that we meet with Ed, maybe even the building owner, because you're right, it would have an impact on his building, that we would like to have a conversation because we think we can assist with the success of the building.
Correct.
Just keep our comments now about those two signs, and that our comment's going to be, in terms of the application, remove those two signs with a request for further discussion about other matters.
Right. And then just as a side note, the comment about the wall packs. The wall packs, I believe, predated the lighting project that was done on North Salina Street. So
Yeah, I think so too.
they're there. Yes, it would be lovely if they came off. They are doing nothing in terms of lighting, particularly because of the awnings, but I think they predate that project.
Okay, so we're all on the same page there?
I just have one more quick clarification. When we're talking about that front sign, are we also being clear about removing that entire thing from the balcony? Or are we just talking about taking the sign? Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
moving
yes,
on.
Ed is willing to have that conversation. So Kate, I'll wait to hear from you.
Okay, that sounds good, Andrea.
And,
Okay,
and
great,
I will
Andrea.
be
Thank you so much.
updating Ed as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thanks, Andrea.
Okay, so now we're to the last item on the agenda. Kate, do you want to go through that a little bit?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if hold on, what shall I go to? I'll go to the agenda. There we go. I wasn't sure if people had any questions about any of the items from the previous agenda. We of course we canceled the meeting, and Bob and Don and I had a conversation just to go over what we could and figure out what it was that could be administratively approved. So, oh, here we go. This is the page I was looking for. Sorry about that. So there was the 111 Circle Road, which was the, actually, I could stop sharing so I can look at you all. There we go. I'll make you Brady Bunch. There we go. Okay, now I can see you all. So let's see, 111 Circle Road was actually, it was Dan's original design for oh geez, it was a new garage and an extension, anyway, Andy Brewer had not built out the entire, actually he did 9/10 of the design, but then left out the final piece, which was the sort of the rooftop deck. And the new owner was coming in saying he wanted to do this deck, complete the project, but had proposed some alternative materials for the railings around that rooftop deck. He had proposed ASIC, or not ASIC,
PVC.
PVC, yeah, PV. And so I was able to talk to him. I talked him into using finished wood railing, and then basically building it. He was planning on building it the way it was designed. That's his proposal, and he has agreed to use the original materials. So I was able to say that we could approve that one administratively.
Thanks, Kate.
Then 125 Green Street is actually it's a demolition of a pretty ratty garage in the back of the building, or back of the property, and they had proposed a side gable. I'm sorry, you don't have it in front of you. Actually, this is information I could just share with you. Why don't I could do that? They did revise the drawing. We did have a conversation about basically what was the roofscape of this 3-car garage. It was already a 3-car garage, and they wanted to rebuild it, and it was a pretty, clunky design. And Bob made an elegant and simple recommendation in terms of how to. Go ahead, Bob.
A line here or there, that's all.
Yeah, just a line or two. And they realized by doing this, it was not only a nicer design, a better design, but they saved some money as well. In terms, so
good.
They were happy with that. I'll send that out to you about 125 Green. Then also, I'm sorry we don't have Jamie on the phone anymore, but that Flatiron building, just gorgeous. They have their Part 2 approval. And maybe we might have him back again just to talk us through that project, because it's just
Talking about 536 North Salina.
Yep.
The drawings are right next to me.
Oh yeah. Oh, Julie, do you know what
we were also, on the conversation the three of us had, we were also asking for some clarification, as far as the cone, was it original? What was going on there? So did we get any information on that, Kate?
Haven't had that back from Jamie yet. I know he has been, his back has been against the wall, I think, in the same way that Julia's has been in terms of trying to move some projects forward. This one, my assumption is, I know that's always dangerous. My assumption is that that the SHPO would not approve that cone roof unless
Some precedent.
it was there, and Julia, are you
I
able
would.
to speak to that at all, or?
No, I'm doing the quality review for the set and I haven't gotten in, but I think that cone was there.
And it must have been because
Yeah, it must have been, but let's
yeah.
just get verification. If we need to bring them back, we'll
Yeah.
bring them back.
And I did ask him to share any historic images if he has any, because I certainly haven't seen any
Great.
of that. It would be pretty amazing, though. I'm sure. So.
The drawings are right now in for permitting, but I'm doing a quality review if I can get to it, to review our set before it ever goes out.
Okay.
Can you
Sounds
just
good.
clarify, what you're talking about, when you're referring to a cone, what are you referring to?
It's a rooftop.
Oh, the roof.
It's so the Flatiron building has that circular bay. Yes, that's right. And I'm pointing to your picture. You can't see me pointing to it, but yeah, what was on top of that is like a big party hat.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think we lost Jeff.
Right.
Did we lose Jeff? It looks like we lost Jeff.
Yeah, we lost Jeff.
That's okay.
Okay.
All
All
so
right. Well, I
anyway,
think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yep.
Yep. Again, I want to thank everybody for bearing with, and as we all said, I think there's a new normal coming, and we might be doing things a little bit differently at some point in the future. So, Kate, we'll just wait to hear from you about next meeting, and we'll go from there.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Too.
And you look
It was
really
great
good
to see
online.
everyone.
Can you stay on for just a
Looks
minute?
really good online.
Looks good. Did good.
Yeah.
Where is the
Are we
telephone?
done? Are we all done? Because I'll stop recording. The meeting is adjourned. Is that correct, Don?
Thank you. I have to go back to work.
Yeah.